So this video is going to be a preview of my intersection of MBTI personality type and personality disorder for the ISFP types video, which I'm not sure when I will actually do that, but I have decided now that when I do it, it's probably going to focus on ISFP Gypsy Rose and ISFP Ken Urker, and like really showing a lot of examples of how they're not only both addicted to narcissistic supply, but engaging in narcissistic abuse. There was a lot of other ISFP couples, ISFP plus ISFP couples I could focus on. Like I did focus on Rihanna and Rocky in one video, and you can see their kind of obvious addiction to narcissistic supply and stuff, but you don't see really as much narcissistic abuse because they're just like so in love with each other or whatever. I also Jessica Biel, I think, and Justin Timberlake, similarly, like if they're in the entertainment business, you can, assume they're addicted to narcissistic supply, and they don't really show off obvious narcissistic abuse in their relationship. It's kind of like everything is, but they do show off that they keep absolutely quiet about their relationship, like typical heavy FI users, but so I think ISFP Gypsy and ISFP Ken will be the example of an ISFP couple where I can point out the most obvious illustrations of addiction to narcissistic supply and engaging in narcissistic abuse. So I definitely will flesh out a whole video about them, because I think it will make the best case for the intersection of personality type and personality disorder for the ISFP types, which would be prone and predisposed to covert narcissism, the feminine, vulnerable kind of narcissism.
Of Gypsy Rose life after lockup, and Ken Urker is getting reamed all over social media. Now, there's a few different reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is this scene where Gypsy and Ken go out on a date night. Gypsy and Ken are on this date night celebrating their 7-year anniversary, even though they just got back together. The waiter comes to the table and asks what they would like to order, and Ken decides to order appetizers. So he asks the waiter, "What's your favorite appetizer?" The waiter then says, "Right now it's gotta be octopus." So Ken orders octopus and a crab dish. Doesn't ask Gypsy what she wants to order at all, just orders the food, and that's it. Gypsy even says to him, like, "You ordered octopus?" Octopus is the one animal that I have a fear of. And then Ken says, "Well, you're gonna try it today." Food comes to the table, and this is Gypsy's face. She does try the octopus, but spits it out because she doesn't like it. And then Ken wants her to try the crab. Roll the clip.
I don't think you're gonna like it.
I probably won't. It's turning into that dinner that we had at the Beano.
Are you in a bite? You are so disappointing.
I can't.
He's pissed. Ken's pissed.
She's lying. She didn't even try it because she's afraid. I liked it. She's just afraid to try it. You want me to bring you out?
I'm fine.
She's okay.
You. I'm pregnant. I'm picky because I'm pregnant.
You can pick for any reason you want.
Nice.
Yes, you can. Thank you. I just wanted to shame her a little bit, that's all. Stop shaming random person.
Apparently. Where's the bathroom?
She then goes to the bathroom and cries.
All the way down to the right.
So Ken wanted to publicly shame her at a restaurant while she's pregnant for not trying octopus and crab. Now let's see how people on social media are responding to this scene. Love how the server shamed him. Did he just say you're so disappointing? Public shaming rarely works. Preach that part. Don't ever disrespect your partner like this. The fact that she was pregnant and he didn't let her decide on food herself, I could never. The grass isn't greener on the other side. Who needs haters when you got a man like Ken? Yeah, this was not it, Ken. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You're only...
So I think Gypsy's an ISFP common covert narcissist, and I think her ex Ryan is an ESFJ covert narcissist, just like her mother, ESFJ covert narcissist Dee Dee Blanchard. So her relationship with Ryan was with a guy who was just like a version of her mother in a male body. And now she switched to Ken because he's an ISFP like her that matches her variety of covert narcissism better than an ESFJ, since SFJ covert narcissists use FE, which expresses feelings more and acts like a caring type. And SFP types are more quiet, passive-aggressive, suppressing feelings more until they explode. So Gypsy has found an autoerotic relationship with a version of herself and a covert lesbian relationship with a gender-dysphoric female brain and a male body, since he's a feminine feeler personality, sensor feeler personality just like her. So sensor feeler covert narcissism is all Gypsy knows as normal, and she only felt safe with sensor feeler covert narcissist just like her. And Ryan was a sensor feeler covert narcissist like her and her mother, but he was more of an exact copy of her mother, since they're SFJ types who use FE. Then he was an exact copy of her, like Ken is an exact copy of her, as an SFP using FI, introverted feeling. So usually SFP are more quiet and less direct in their abuse than Ken is being at this dinner when he publicly calls Gypsy a liar and says he wants to shame her publicly. So I think it's almost FE-ish the way he tries to publicly shame her and embarrass her, but I still see him as a definite SFP, ISFP personality copy of her that is maybe just too comfortable in that marriage with his copy, so he lets his mouth run a little more sometimes. Most of the time he will be more quiet. Like I heard some people asking Ken to talk about Gypsy's book she published, and he made a point to say he doesn't want to talk about it. While an FE user like Ryan wants to talk about everything more openly, every detail of their relationship out in the open. So this video I'm sharing is kind of painting Gypsy as a victim of Ken, like, wow, he is just such an asshole to her while pregnant. And Gypsy is so quick to cash in on the sympathy of pregnancy as a defense, like a covert narcissist would, a vulnerable narcissist. So she gets to capitalize on that pregnancy as defense in the moment. But the fact is, which I don't have to convince people too hard, because outside of the context of this video that makes Gypsy look like a victim of her abusive husband, most people already see Gypsy as a narcissist that isn't just some poor little victim of abuse. So they are both common covert narcissists as ISFPs, and no matter what abuse they deal each other, this is most likely the best relationship with longevity they can get in life with someone so like-minded. And my covert narcissist couples videos show how many other covert narcissist sensor feeler personalities have concluded the same and have had the longest relationship longevity with spouses that have an exact copy of their personality type. So SFP types are the most infantile of all, and they're quiet, passive-aggressive, and the P makes them people-pleasing in some ways. Like, they won't speak up for what they want directly. They will go along with what other people want with some fake nice act, and they kind of seek parent figures in partners since they're forever children that need to and want to be parented. They expect the most important people to them to just know what they want and need and just do it. And they get passive-aggressive and bishy if they don't do what they want, despite them never expressing what they want and never using open, direct communication to get on the same page with people, since they're heavy FI users. And covert narcissists are invested in their victim narrative most of all. So I'm seeing a thing going on with covert narcissist couples, like them constantly out-victiming each other. It's similar to when I analyzed INFJ plus INFJ couples who are empaths and so-called borderlines and show INFJ Joel Goldberg and INFJ Love Quinn blew up, and it was because they had to out-virtue each other. INFJ have to see themselves as virtuous. They're used to out-virtuing people their entire lives, and they do it on autopilot, and they have to see themselves as virtuous no matter what questionable things they do, like even murdering people. Like INFJ, INFJ Jigsaw, he kills people, but he only kills people who are not virtuous, And he doesn't see himself as a killer. He says they make their own choices. He has to see himself as virtuous and righteous no matter what he does. And that's just another example. And also, like Joe Goldberg, when his first love interest, Beck, is seeing him as just this super nice, understanding, big-hearted guy who takes care of her and nurtures her, he's cool with that. But once she starts seeing him as a monster and starts throwing around words like sociopath because she finds out Joe has killed her ex-boyfriend or one of her girlfriends he thinks is toxic, he's like, everything I've done for you. Done for love. Done with my heart in the right place. He has to get rid of Beck because as an SFP type, she couldn't understand his INFJ empath reasons. She couldn't see him as virtuous, even if he killed for her. That was how Love differed. Love could understand his reasonings as an INFJ empath like him, and she didn't see him as evil, knowing he only did those things thinking he had his heart in the right place to protect the ones he loves. And yet he wasn't satisfied with Love, who could understand him and could relate to him and could absolve him of murder. He was wired and programmed to out-virtue Love to the death, since he always has to see himself as the most virtuous. And that is more important to him than sustaining a relationship. In an intimate relationship, people see behind closed doors too much, and you can't keep up an image of perfect virtue. And that's why Joe couldn't keep a relationship, because every relationship, even with the most like-minded woman, would end up ruining his image of virtue of himself, which was more important to him than anything. And Love was ready to get rid of Joe in the end, too, to out-virtue him, because he saw her as a monster, and he couldn't see her as virtuous, when she was the same as him and only killed for love. Only killed with a sense of having her heart in the right place. And so similarly with covert narcissists, their victim status is everything to them. So instead of compulsively out-virtuing each other like the empaths, covert narcissists sensor feeler types out-victim each other. Victimhood and virtue are similar in painting someone as innocent, but not the same. And so the victimhood that covert narcissists bank on is a lot less virtuous and righteous than the empaths and their sense of virtue, but it is how covert narcissists are programmed to just out-victim people. So think of ESFJ Catherine Griffith and ESFJ Colin Griffith, both acting like they're victims of each other's abuse to the death. And ESFJ Lori Vallow acting like she's the victim of a string of dead ex-husbands. Even ISFP Chris Watts acting like he's the victim of his nagging ESFJ covert narcissist wife, so he's justified in murdering her. So similarly, ISFP covert narcissist Gypsy is so invested in her passive victim role. Her SFP personality makes her most infantile, and her heavy use of FI introverted feeling makes it nearly impossible for her to speak up for herself directly in many ways. And Ken is the same for the most part. So she can speak up to make light of things and make excuses like, I'm pregnant, so I'm picky about food. But she couldn't speak up to the waiter at ordering time to speak up for herself and say, this is what I want to eat, right? And so if you try to show SFP types the logic, like if you would have just said something, then some communication could have prevented a lot of drama. And yet they never get it. Their heavy FI just keeps them silent, never speaking up for themselves when it matters most, and then lashing out passive-aggressively at people who should have known how to treat them without them speaking up about it. So Gypsy is so invested in her victim role. It is more important for her to not speak up for herself during the dinner when it matters and be disgusted by it and be berated by her husband, who's the same covert narcissist as her, and go cry in the bathroom secretly about it and play the victim of everyone in the world and showcase how horrible her husband is, than she is invested in just having a nice dinner by simply ordering what she wants.